Good morning. Welcome to Becerra. Today's Sunday, beautiful and windy day. Thank you for being here. Becerra is a nonprofit organization. We function strictly with volunteers and donations, and our mission is to study Spiritism and spiritual and material charity. Our telephone number is 305-477-4148. Our email is info@spiritist.com, and our website is www.spiritist.com. We're broadcasting live on YouTube, so please turn your phones on vibration. Thank you very much. Donations are welcome. They're tax deductible. Every dollar counts. Please help us keep our doors open. Thank you very much. We have podcast, radio online, 24/7, Portuguese, English, and Spanish. We have great speakers and great themes like how to defeat death, Spiritism is science, afraid of death, etc. Over 500 programs. It's easy to access. Go to radio.spiritist.com and do a click in the program of your choice. We're going to be reading today about Our Daily Bread. This book was written by Francisco Candido Javier, and it was dictated by the Spirit of Emmanuel. We'll be talking about chapter 82 in Spirit. But if the Spirit you put, if by the Spirit you put to death the misdeeds of your body, you will live. This was said by Paul in Romans chapter 8, verses 13. He who lives according to the sublime laws of the Spirit breathes in a different sphere than that of the material field in which he still places his feet. An advanced understanding signals his intimate position. He takes advantage of the day as the good student who is aware that his time on earth is precious and not to be underestimated. He discovers the work, the blessed gift of evolving and improving. In the ignorance of others, he discovers precious possibilities for service. From the difficulties and afflictions on the path, he gathers resources to expand and increase his own illumination. He witnesses obstacles go by as he sees the clouds pass. He loves responsibilities, but makes no attachments. He directs with devotion, but does not become possessive. He aids without unhealthy inclinations, and he serves without enslaving himself. He is attentive to the seedings and plantings of his obligations. However, he does not become agitated with the crop because he is aware that the farm and the plant, the sun and the rain, the water and the wind belong to the eternal donor. The user of the divine wealth, wherever he may be, carries with him in his conscience and in his heart the personal treasures. Blessed be the individual who proceeds forth in spirit. To him, the painful death will be no more than the dawn of a new day, a sublime transformation, and a joyous awakening. In explaining Paul's words to reflect about today's reading, Emmanuel reminds us that when a person has a good understanding of the divine laws and follows them, is an indication of a good student who is aware that his time on earth is precious and should not be wasted. He enjoys his dedication and work and finds in it the gift of evolving and improving his own life. He learns from the difficult times. He loves responsibilities, is devoted, he helps and he serves, but without becoming a slave or having unhealthy inclinations. These individuals are blessed. For them, a painful death is nothing more than a new day, a sublime transformation, and a joyous awakening. Wise words. And with with these words, please help me out in a little prayer. As every Sunday before we start our gospel, let's close our eyes if we wish to do so. Let's take a deep breath and let's thank our Lord. Once again, dear Lord, we're gathered here in this beautiful Sunday morning. Gather in your name to thank you for all the blessings, to thank you for the opportunity that you have given us in this lifetime, for the free will that allows us to make our own decisions, which in reality is the only way to prove ourselves in choosing the right path or the wrong path. In today's message, it mentions that he who takes advantage and lives according to the sublime laws will breathe in a different place, in a different sphere. It says that blessed be the ones who proceed in spirit with a good conscience and a pure heart. Please give us the strength to be good students and the wisdom to see and realize that death is not the end, but only the beginning. Heavenly Father, we ask you for world peace, especially for those countries that are suffering war. We ask you, dear Lord, to pour your light upon those leaders so that peace and love can fall upon those countries. Heavenly Father, we ask you to help those in need, the suffering, the abandoned, the forgotten, the hungry children of the world. May your love, your peace, and your mercy and your divine light be the food for their bodies and faith for their souls. And finally, Heavenly Father, to begin today's gospel, we ask you to enlighten our sister Claudia Mellado, so that she can so that you can put in her lips the right words, and so you can put in our hearts and our ears the desire to listen and to obey and to take the message home with us. We ask you in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, so be it. And today, Claudia is going to be talking about chapter 15, Without Charity, There is No Salvation. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Glad to be here once again for us to study the gospel with this beautiful chapter, Without Charity, There is No Salvation. And that is the main point for Spiritism is charity. This is the word that every time we are studying Spiritism, we hear about is without charity, there is no salvation. Because this chapter calls us to be brothers and sisters and do to others as we want to be done to ourselves, right? So for us to start, I brought a question from the Spirits book that Kardec asked the Spirits, what is the true meaning of the word charity as employed by Jesus? And the Spirits are going to answer benevolence for everyone, indulgence for the imperfection of others, and forgiveness of injuries. So right there we see that the title, Without Charity, There is No Salvation, is a lot more than just material help. It's a lot more than just aim giving. And not saying that this is not important, because if we don't have our basic needs, how can we move on? If we don't have food, how to have the energy to even help one another or to learn something from life? How to go on with life if we don't have the security of a roof above our heads? So taking the stance that everyone has the minimum, the bare minimum to survive, to have their needs received, then after that, charity becomes a lot more than material things. It comes from the benevolence, how we want to be treated the same way as we have to treat others. So it comes from indulgence. towards the imperfections of others, because we also want to have our imperfections being forgiven. Every single one of us are in a process of learning. All of us are children in the spirit, going through life to learn a little bit more and to become more mature spirits, as if we can say that way. So all of us needs forgiveness. So charities also be able to forgive others when they also made a mistake. Every time that I go criticize someone, comes an image to my mind of something that I have done very much likely the same way. And I said, aha, but you have done that. And it's funny because when we start this working process, right, the inner transformation, it is a process that does not stop. So sometimes, even when you're not doing it, your conscience is right there, ding, 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 letting you know that, hey, you too. And then says, okay, fine. And then you go on, which is good, because if we harbor criticism, then our day is going to be becoming harder and harder, right? So having that in mind, that charity is so much more than just stopping for one moment at the day or the week or the month and do something to somebody else. Charity is every day in our lives that we can look to someone else and give them the help of listening or helping, if it is material, what they need, or with a good word, or whatever it is. But it's participation in life, and every single moment we are able to be charitable towards someone else. And in this chapter 15, the Without Charity There Is No Salvation, Kardec put a parable of the Good Samaritan as an excellent example of what charity really means. And it tells the story of this man that went down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell among thieves. So he was robbed, he was beat, and left in the road to die. As the story goes, go by a priest, but too busy to stop, he kept going, saying, oh, he will tell somebody else to come and help him. And the story goes on, several people coming by, and for one reason or another, just crossing the road to the other side and leaving. Until comes the Good Samaritan that stops, takes care of the man, clean his wounds, give him something to drink, take him to some place to be cared for because he was not able to do it, pay for his needs to be taken care of as he gets better. So in here you see that everything was done, from the material to the time spent to take care of that man that was not known to this Good Samaritan. So this parable gives us a very, very good example what charity means in all its extent. And that's exactly what we are going to be talking about in here. When I was preparing this speech, and as I read about the Good Samaritan, I remembered once that we were in a whole family traveling, and we had an accident. Our car flipped. And a lot of people stopped, helped us, took us to the hospital. Thank God it was very simple accident, but that was a scary moment. And later on, when I was talking with my father, he said, you know what? I never stopped to an accident in the road because I always think somebody else was going to stop and help. But at that moment that happened to me, I realized that even those that stopped just for curiosity, they were of help because they asked me, do you need anything? And that was so important to me because I have my whole family in the car. And definitely I would be able to do nothing to help my family because I myself was in need of help. So from that day on, he had in his mind, you know what? Even if it is just to make sure that these people are being helped, I will stop. And sometimes we need to go through the situation to realize that, hey, I can help too. Can I do something? So let me try, because I might be able to do something, right? And I also remembered a little story, and this one is very, very good because gives us a very good idea of where we are in our days. And it's a little story of a hell, right? And then people that goes to hell. And in hell, the representations of hell was a circle of people trying to feed themselves because they were very hungry. But the food was in a little plate after a space. Well, I mean, there was nothing in there, and then the food in the middle. So every single person there would receive a very long spoon for them to go there and grab the food to eat. But of course, would not be that easy, right? They had their elbows backwards, so when they get the food, they could not take the spoon into their mouth. The hands would go backwards, and everyone was starving in there. All that food in the middle of the room, and nobody could feed themselves. Until one person realized if they just let the arm go, somebody else could be fed. And the person did that. And the other one ate because he was hungry. But the others was like, well, but what if I feed and I don't receive it? So there was a little turbulence in there. One start doing it, others not really, until every single one realized that, hey, let me do it, because otherwise I will not have my fair share. And that's exactly what's happened to us. We are so afraid in life. We are so concerned that our needs are not going to be met, that we don't help others to have their needs being met. If we realize, if I do my share, if I do what is the right thing to do, maybe the person that I helped will not help me back, but somebody else will. And that's the point, because we need to start. We need to go there and start doing for our brothers and sisters what we would like them to do to us. And we will find others that will do the same. It's just that we are so afraid in our days. We are so afraid to stop and help somebody else, afraid of what they are going to do to us, afraid of if I if I spend my time with somebody else, then I will not take care of my own needs. And if I need a help, nobody's going to help me. So I just want to take care of me and my own. And we go on in life being very much afraid of everybody and not doing what we are supposed to do. The time that we stop and we think, well, but it's my duty to do what I know I should do. And along the way, we will find other people that do the same. And things are going to start being so much better. Just like in the little story that one needed to start feeding the other so everybody else would receive the food. When we realize that, then we're going to become more friendly, more forgiving, more friendly, we are going to receive more because we are going to be able to do as well. So the Good Samaritan and the chapter Without Charity, There is No Salvation showed us what is that we need to do in our daily lives in order to feel better and to spread the best to everyone. And there is a chapter, the chapter 11 on the Spirit's book. It talks about the law of justice, love, and charity. See, that is not the law of justice. The law of love and the law of charity is one law embracing all the three. So just when I have justice, love, and charity within my way of living, is that I am in full correspondence with the same law. So love and charity are the complement of the law of justice. For to love our neighbor is to do him all the good in our power, all that we should wish to have done to ourselves. And we see again, talking about what we wanted to be done to us, then that's what we should do to others as well. It is, if we think about what justice consists, is to respect for others' right. And again, the same way as we want to have ourselves being respected. So the chapter of charity talks about how much we want to be respected, loved, forgiven, but also how much can we do that to each other? It is a law that embraces all that we have to do in order to live in a much better life, in a much better place, and also be respected and receive back all that we wanted to do. And come in the same chapter of the Without Charity There Is No Salvation, the greatest of the commandments: love your God with all your soul and your neighbor as yourself. This is the greatest of the commandments. Just when we are able to love God above all and everything is that we are with the law. And for that, we need to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. But if we think about this commandment, we need to realize that we need to start from the end to the beginning. Because how can I love my neighbor if I don't love myself? And how can I love God if I am not able to love even my neighbor and much less myself? So right there, we need to stop and think, why I don't love myself? Why am I always doing something to push myself down, to discredit myself? Why am I not conscious that as a creature of God, I, I am always receiving opportunities from life to grow and to become better? How is that I feel like nobody loves me or nobody cares for me if I know I am a creature of God? So I need to stop and think about, okay, maybe right now around me, there is no people that care for me and might not love me. But my creator, my God, it has everything laid down for me. So I will be as perfect as possible. And I am receiving in life as much as I possibly need and much more. Just sometimes I don't realize that. So when we realize this, we start complaining so much. We start thinking that life is not fair, and start realizing, you know what? What am I missing? What is the point that I'm missing in here? What can I do to continue my progress? And even if the situation seems so hard at the moment, what can I do to be better? Because definitely every single one of us receives all we need in every single time of our lives. We might not understand at the moment why we are going through whatever it is that we are going through, but later on, we for sure we're going to realize. So every single one of us are cared and received everything we need in order to grow. As I said in the beginning, we are all children, spiritually speaking, right? In a process of learning. And sometimes as a child that have not learned yet to walk, we're going to fall. We're going to make some mistakes. And we need to realize that even though God loves us and wants the best for us, so we need to think, okay, I am loved. I might be making a mistake at this moment, but what can I do to be better, to be able to continue walking, to be able to continue learning from life? And as we think that way, then others that are around us start being the brothers and sisters that we want them to be and that they should be. And we start being able to get this love and overflow it in a matter of everyone receiving from it. Because if we lack love for ourselves, how can we give love if we don't have it? But at the moment that we realize I'm loved and I should love myself, because as a creature of God, as a child of God, then I am lovable and I am competent and I am good enough to do all the things that I can possibly do. And when we feel that and when we are sure about that, then it's so much easier to love others around us. Because then we will realize that, hey, I fall from now and then, and my brothers and my sisters also do that. They might be doing things that today I'm no longer do it. But they are still there. They are still making the same mistakes. And I have to understand and forgive. Sometimes it's hard to forgive, so I will leave it to the justice, to the God's justice to take care of this brother and sister. And I will continue on living my life the best I can and with those around me. if we look through history, we're going to see that not too long ago, there was a lot of human loss that was horrible if we start thinking about it now. But that's the progress that we have done throughout the time to now. That's how much we have been able to start loving enough to no longer accept those kind of loss, of human loss, right? So now we look at back and say, wow, what such a barbarians, right? Now we are so much better. But look how much do we still have to go, and how much better life is going to be in a 50, 100 years from now, because we will have learned so much more and we will have progressed so much more that we will look back to these times that we are today and say, wow, such a barbarians. We will get there because it's a process, it's a learning process that need to be done with love. And in order for this love to grow is through charity, through us all. So what can I do to my brothers and my sisters? Not only materially, but with love, with respect, with justice, right? And there is this message from Emmanuel and Ch.XV that I like it very much because it gives a good idea what the word charity means. And it says that charity is above all friendship. For one who is hungry, it is a plate of soup. For one who is sad, it is a consoling word. For one who is evil, it is the patience that must be achieved to be of assistance. For one who is desperate, it is the heartfelt aid. For one who is ignorant, it is an unpretentious teaching. For one who is ungrateful, it is to forget. For one who is ill, it is a personal visit. For the student, it is a learning opportunity. For the children, it is constructive support. For the elderly, it is a brotherly shoulder. For the antagonist, it is silence. For a friend, it is encouragement. For one who is misguided, it is understanding. As we read every single word of that, we realize that charity is so much more than just giving something right there and right now. It's every moment of our lives that we are with someone, an act that we can do. Just being a friend of someone that might make such a difference. Because sometimes we ask people around and say, oh, I don't have any friends. Well, but you don't have anyone to talk to? Not really. And there are these kind of people that so much in need of simply having someone to talk to them, even if it is once a day. And some others, they do need material things. They do need a food. They do need somewhere to sleep or anything like that, right? So every action that we can do throughout our days can be a charitable moment, can be an act of love, of respect, of justice. If we are dealing with someone that is ignorant, that unpretentious teaching, in other words, giving an example, because the example is the one that changes the most. And sometimes being charitable is just doing to the person what we would like the person do to us. The example is so much stronger than a word, because someone that acts in a rude way might learn so much with someone that continuously being friendly, lovely, and trying to do their best in this regard of how the other one is acting, right? So let's forget the one that is ungrateful. If it is a children, an elderly, a friend that is in need of something, what can I do to help? What can I do to make the life of this other person a little better? And the message continues. Therefore, for one who is proud, it is humility. For one who is hot-headed, it is calm. For one who is lazy, it is work without imposition. For the impulsive, it is serenity. For the thoughtless, it is tolerance. For the slanderer, is a it is a kind remark. For the disinherited of earth, it is a tender expression. Charity is love in a never-ending and ever-growing manifestation. It is the sun of 1,000 faces shining upon all. It is the Genii with 1,000 hands aiding without ostentation in the work of goodness. Wherever you may be, among the just or the unjust, the good or the evil, happiness or unhappiness, wherever the Spirit of the Lord is present, perpetual clarity will be scattered for the benefit of the entire human race. And I love this part that says that charity is love in a never-ending and ever-growing manifestation. So every time love is present, there is charity involved because one belongs to the other. And our action with love, with care, is showing how much we can be charitable towards one another and make this chapter so rich when we link it with the greatest of the commandments. Love God with all your soul, and the next as you do to yourself. So as we learn in life to respect and love ourselves, we will be able to love our neighbors as well. And as we love each other, then we will be able to live in a place so much more peaceful and within love, right? And nowadays, if we could stop a little bit several times a day and show support and love and care for each other, soon we will be able to be more fraternal. Everyone is so much tense, so much on the board, right? Because we are in such a hard times. Seems that everyone is ready to fight, everyone is ready to react, and every few of us are ready to do something towards each other. The fear, it's been so present in our days that love, it's kind of getting so little within us. So we need to remind ourselves, if God is for us, who could be against us, right? And if we remember this word and try doing a little bit more than we are doing in every day of our lives, things will change for the best. Because what is happening right now is that we have so much fear that love is not being shown. We are not being able to live as brothers and sisters. We are living as we are all enemies. And just like in the little story, that if we don't feed the food to the next one, we are not going to be fed ourselves. And everyone is stopping to feed each other, and we are going hungry. So we need to spread the love so the love can come back. And it's so much easier when we do start loving, because then everyone around becomes loving towards us as well, right? So this chapter, it brings us justice, brings us love, and brings us the word charity. That makes us think about, we can do it. Might seems hard because everyone is so afraid and so ready to fight. But when love comes, the need for the fight just goes away. And we need to have that in mind and keep on doing it the best we can in order to ensure that love will prevail, and will. Might take longer if we don't do anything, but it definitely will prevail because God is taking care of everything. Nothing happens without God's approval. And if it is happening right now, it's because we still have lessons to learn. And the time that we learn it's better to live in love than in fear, then we will be able to go through this learning much more faster. So we need to get together and grow this love that we do have inside us. It's just that we are keeping so within without use. And we ask God to be with us always, helping us to think better, to love more, to be more forgiving, so we can live in this charitable moment, we can live with this law of justice, love, and charity every single day of our lives. And so be it. All right. So with all these lessons, let's continue doing a prayer, raising our thoughts to God, to Jesus, our brother, and to all the good spirits that are here today. Asking them to help us to understand better those lessons that have been constantly being given to us. And so many times we forget. We ask, Lord, to be present in our lives so we can put in practice all these teachings we have been receiving. May we embrace this planet with love and wish harmony to all. May we have in our minds all those that work to make this planet a better place. May we send feelings of love, vibrations to all of those that are in need, all of those that has no house, that are in the streets, that have lost their houses in wars, catastrophes. For all of those, dear Lord, that does not know you, that does not understand their loss, may all of them feel in this moment these vibrations of love, harmony, and peace. We want to embrace as well all of those that take your words, your teachings to all of those that look for you. May we all understand better your loss, but most importantly, be able to live within your love, your loss, and the way life it is for us to be. We also want to embrace all of those that have lost the hope and are thinking or have committed suicide. May all of them in this moment, Lord, receive these vibrations of love so they can calm their hearts and their minds and hope for a better life. We also want to embrace all our families, our friends, our co-workers, all of those with whom we partake in life, that we meet throughout the week. May all of them be embraced in these vibrations of love and harmony. We want to ask for this house and all of those that come in here today and throughout the week. May all of them, Lord, feel these vibrations of love, of harmony, and be in peace. We ask for our own houses, for all of those that are there or might pass there throughout the week. May all of them feel these vibrations of love and peace. We finally ask for ourselves so we can be with you throughout the week, exemplifying these teachings of love, of charity. May we have the strength to keep our minds clear and in a loving space. We thank you, Lord, for all the opportunities we have been receiving, all the opportunities we will receive, and may our eyes be open to see them all and be able to learn from it, becoming a better person. And may that be today and always. And so be it.